He spent his early years in Oakland, then was traded to his favorite team, the Atlanta Braves. This much we already know about Tim Hudson, but how he got the call on draft day was quite interesting. Here's Tim on the early days of his career in the major leagues. You got the call draft day from Oakland, 6th round. What was that like? I'm sure you can remember that to this day.
Yeah, you know what? It was kind of strange. Back then that was before cell phones and that was before the internet and all sorts of things. We were actually in Omaha at the College World Series during the draft. And Brian Hepson he's a local guy, but he was our big pitching prospect. And so Brian, he had gotten his call from his representative, said, hey, you got a call. And Brian, just being a good friend, he's asking about his other teammates. Have you heard about all these guys? And Brian was, he had heard that Oakland drafted me in the 6th round. So actually, Brian had heard from his representative where I got drafted because I hadn't heard anything. Because we wasn't at the hotel. There was no way to call me. But apparently the scout, John Poloni, my scout from Oakland, had left like 10 messages on my hotel phone that I had gotten drafted, but I never made it back to my hotel room till late that night. And so I heard from Brian. Brian told me when and who I got drafted by.
So secondhand information.
Yeah, and I was just like, cool, and I was like, wow, So it was, wasn't long after that, I ended up signing with Oakland and. Shipped off to Southern Oregon, to Medford, Oregon, and my first taste of professional baseball and first time really away from home, honestly, because I went to school at Auburn and, which is 20 miles from where I grew up. And, not only did I leave home, but I went pretty much to the furthest place away that I could ever go in the Pacific Northwest, which was, a big change for me.
Yeah, you were out on that West Coast for a while. I guess take me back as well to June 8th, 1999. And I think you know what day I'm talking about. Your first game, San Diego Padres. How were they butterflies? Were they pterodactyls in your stomach there?
You know what? It's hard to say. I was very excited. Obviously, there's some emotions there that when you get that call and you have a chance to make your big league debut. It's a lot of emotions kind of boil to a head, because as a kid you grow up, you have dreams of doing it, and even in college baseball, regardless of how successful you are at the college level, just having a chance to play in the big league level, the emotions it can be overwhelming. And I remember I was in San Diego, and I remember walking out on the field and just feeling like a sense of just finally I'm here. And it wasn't a lot of nerves. I was just really anxious to get out there and get it going. But I just remember it was almost like a satisfaction of like, golly, finally, accomplished, this huge goal set in your life. And now it's, but after that, it's like, okay, let's not, blow this opportunity. But it was one of those things where I never really looked at the whole deal. It was, I took one start at a time. And at the end of that season, I looked back and I was just like, man, that was pretty good. Not bad for, old skinny redneck from, Salem, Alabama, And
getting traded to Atlanta, your favorite team growing up, was that cool, or was that bittersweet considering what you had built in Oakland at that point?
Well, it was exciting for me after I found out I was getting traded to Atlanta. And I got a call from Billy Bean, actually the day that we were here in Auburn looking to buy some property to build. I was here and Billy called me and said, Huddy, he said, I'm gonna have to, I got a really tough decision to make, but we've decided that we're gonna have to trade you. And I was like, yeah, I kind of thought that, what are you thinking, Billy? And he said, well, it's really hard for us to trade you, he said, but I think we've decided to trade you to a place that I think you're going to be happy to be. And I was like, really, where? And he said, well, we're going to trade you to Atlanta. And I was like, really? And because I was really sad up to that point. And, he told me, he said, yeah, we're going to trade you to Atlanta. And I was like, because I didn't want to seem super happy that, to him that I just gotten traded, but I was just like, man, I'm okay with that. I'm really okay. If that's where you're going to trade me, then I'll give it the stamp of approval because, that was a team that I grew up a fan of. I was, just the chance to play for Bobby Cox and to sit in the locker room with Chipper Jones and John Smoltz and, those guys. I was just like, man, you know what? This is really cool. Setting something that, You know, I always wondered if I would have ever had a chance to play for the Atlanta Braves. And I had the chance, you know, not only did I have a chance to do it, but I had a chance to do it, you know, in pretty much the prime of my career, which was exciting for me. And, you know, I welcomed that, and it was, you know, I had 9 wonderful years in Atlanta. You know, it wasn't we didn't win the World Series and the championships that I would have hoped and thought we could have done, but, you know, the chance to play there 9 years in front of, you know, some of the best fans in baseball, you know, was something that, it was a dream come true for me. And, you know, my family, my kids, you know, it's, you know, the early parts of their childhood, you know, is their best memories are up in the stands at Turner Field and doing the tomahawk chop, and, you know, watching their dad go out there and, you know, sweat his butt off in 100-degree weather and, you know, trying to pitch and try to help that team win the championship.
Now, it wasn't all perfect for Hudson in his career. He suffered a major injury just a few years later, but that injury turned into something great for him. See the final years of his playing days and hear what's next for Tim in part number 3.